This podcast is rated S for spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Don't forget to view our spoiler-free companion video on our Half Past Podcast channel on YouTube. Welcome to the Half Past Podcast. This is episode 12, the movie review of Fantastic Four. I'm Graham Ricks, and here with me is my friend and co-pilot Ian Jones.
So, buddy, one of the great mysteries of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has finally been uncovered, and that is, what does the Thing's junk look like? And the answer is nothing. It isn't there. He's a Ken doll.
Oh, that's terrible.
That ever since of Mallrats, that's what I love about Mallrats. That's like one of the things that comes up. And, watching that movie, you wonder that for years. You wonder that for decades.
Yep.
And now we know.
Man, I like Mallrats. Before we get into the Fantastic Four trailer, or actually movie, we're going to talk about the Deadpool trailer that just came out. I was never really a fan of Deadpool, but I did have a roommate that he was like a huge fan, so he had like all the comic books. So I actually read through about like 4 or 5 of them, and I think they got the character like spot on.
Well, yeah.
It's perfect. They have it exactly the way he is in there because he's breaking the fourth wall. He has the same attitude, the same kind of dialogue, and Ryan Reynolds does a really good job with it. And it's also rated R, which surprises me, but it's fitting for that comic book.
Yeah, well, I think they learned their lesson from the Wolverine origin movie.
Yeah, this one already looks way better than that version.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, how could you not be a fan of Deadpool?
He was just not one of my favorite characters. I mean, he's a newer character, and I just didn't get interested into him. I have no idea why. I just never really got into him. It's not like, me growing up with X-Men kind of thing.
Right. Well, I guess I could see that. But yeah, the tone of this, if they do the entire movie that way, I mean, that's a Deadpool movie.
Yeah, it is.
And it's also something really different. And that would be great to see, because these superhero movies are, they seem very generic.
Yes, they're starting to get that way.
And I think we'll get into that in this podcast.
All right. Other than that, the only other thing I have to say about this trailer is that it really does look like a fun movie, and I actually really want to see it, so I can't wait.
Yeah, well, you know how I've always wanted to see Negasonic Teenage Warhead in a movie?
Nice.
Which, for those of you who don't know who that mutant is, that's because no one knows who that mutant is.
Yeah.
And she's definitely one of the reasons why Marvel basically got rid of most of the mutants a few years ago. Like, they chopped it down to like 100 or so because it just got out of control.
Yeah, it's got really out of control with them.
But it's just like Deadpool, I think, to have a character that no one knows who appeared in like a couple of issues.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see it, man. All right, now that we're done with this Deadpool trailer, let's go ahead and get into this Fantastic Four movie here.
You mean Fan-4-Stick, right? Fan-4-Stick. Fan-4-Stick 4?
Oh, Zoolander reference, I already know.
How do you pronounce that? Fan-4-Stick.
All right. Outsiders are teleported to another dimension. When the mission goes wrong, they are altered physically in shocking ways. Now they have to face their old friend to help save the planet.
Oh.
This movie is directed by Josh Trank.
Was it?
Yeah. Who is a younger director, and he did Chronicle, which was a better movie.
Chronicle is a better movie, and on paper, between Josh Trank and Simon Kinberg, this should have been, that gave me hope for seeing a really unique Fantastic Four, because Chronicle was so great.
Yeah.
So, what happened?
I don't know, and you know what? Online, it keeps popping up how Josh Trank keeps bad-mouthing Fox over this movie, and I get maybe that might be true, but I feel like as a young director, you need to just kind of...
Oh, I agree. That is absolutely, you know what I mean? Stupid.
You need to just kind of shut up and just deal with the fact that it's bad and then move on.
Right.
Like, you're not going to be working for Fox anytime soon.
Yeah,
and maybe not a lot of other studios, because they're like, well, if you're just going to badmouth the studios after a movie, then why should we hire you? So I don't know how I feel about that, but he's been bad-mouthing quite a bit.
Yeah. Yep, but I think he might have shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, I think so too.
Especially since those studios tend to just trade people.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with him. So he's starring Miles Teller as Reed Richards. He was also in the 2011 Footloose movie, 21 and Over, and the Divergent series.
Oh, right. All of those I love. You just listed things I love. That's great. I got to get some of those movie posters up in my new office.
Nice.
This is like the least heroic superhero I've ever seen, if you can even call him that. And he's also Shovel-Face 2.0.
Yeah, it is not good, and he's just freaking awkward the entire time, and I don't even know, like...
I'm not sure if he's even a good actor, if any of these kids, because they're all real young, are even good acters, because...
Well, Michael B. Jordan is awesome.
Well,
he's really good.
No one... I guess I'll have to watch that Fruitvale Station.
Yeah,
and we are going to see him in Creed, right?
But he was in Chronicle, too.
He was in Chronicle, yeah. So I guess I have seen him before.
Well, since we're going there... Starring Michael B. Jordan as Johnny right. Storm, who was also in Red Tails, Chronicle, and Fruitvale Station.
Yeah, he should have just walked away from this. I think
he should have walked away from it too. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I think this might even hurt the Creed movie.
Well,
people were just like, ugh. I don't know. But, I mean, Michael B. Jordan he's like a really good actor. Like, all the movies he's been in, he's performed really well, except for this one. And I don't even know what to say about that.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to talk about that in my corpse anyway, because...
Well, we can wait, because we can get on with the rest of these characters.
Sure.
Let's go to... we have Kate Mara as Sue Storm. She was in Shooter, 127 Hours, and Transcendence.
I guess I've seen her in movies for a long time, and I guess I thought she was older than what she actually is, but she's definitely been in... She's had, like, bit parts in a lot of really big movies.
Yeah, she has.
And it's really a shame, because I think maybe we could have seen more out of her in this character.
Yeah, maybe. Jamie Bell is Ben Grimm. He was in King Kong, Jumper, and The Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah, he's, the star of Turn
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is another really weird thing that I guess we'll get into. And, if they ever do that Rat King movie that you and I talk about, how it has to star the one guy, that one lawyer, and I can't think of his name right now, but the guy who's
from
in
Suits. He's the guy in Suits.
That guy plays the Rat King because he looks like a rat cousin of Mickey Mouse in real life. That guy plays the Rat King in that movie, but Jamie Bell plays the Rat Prince. Right?
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
I think it would be a very amusing movie, and it could be like a take on the Nutcracker or something, but no singing allowed. I'm not going to sit through something that has singing.
Oh, jeez, man. Next up, we have Toby Kebbell as Victor Von Doom. He's in Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Ah, yes. What? I'm at a loss for words, even with this, especially with this one.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's interesting.
Is it? I think the problem is it isn't. I mean, they killed the biggest villain, maybe in the Marvel list of villains in the Marvel universe. They disintegrate him in 10 minutes. Is that someone okayed that over at Fox?
Let's get with the rest of these characters. I'm sure we
sorry.
have a lot of problems.
I'm just completely. I'm like blown away.
I love how it's hard not to just go on a tangent with this.
I know. I'm sorry.
We can't even get through these characters.
Okay, I'm sorry. I will.
We have Reggie Cathy as Dr. Franklin Storm. He was in The Wire, Oz, and House of Cards. And when I saw this guy in the trailer, I thought it was really weird because he's mainly known for doing a crap load of TV movies and just TV roles in general.
Oh.
So it was weird to see him actually in like a theatrical released movie. It was really weird, but I don't know. All right, we'll get to him later. Tim Blake Nelson as Dr. Allen. He was in Heavyweights, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and The Incredible Hulk.
He was in Heavyweights?
Yes, he was
in
Heavyweights.
Who was he in Heavyweights?
He was not a major character. He was one of the ones that was like trying to take over that place. You
really?
Remember? Yeah.
Tim Blake Nelson. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to watch it again, but you remember the plot of that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that was trying to take over the camp.
Well, what a great villain they had in that movie.
Oh, yeah. Heavyweights I really enjoy Heavyweights. That's got a fond memories of that movie. And this character, I guess he does what he's supposed to be doing because the entire time he's chewing gum and I just want to punch him in the face.
Dr. Allen.
Yeah, the entire time.
I want to know why he has more lines than Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Bell combined.
I know, right?
That's really like, what? Who is this guy?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get into our quirks and likes section here.
One more thing about the cast. Homer Simpson as the teacher.
Oh, Dan Castellaneta.
Yeah.
I decided to cut him because he's in one scene.
Okay, all right. Well, that's who that is. If anyone was wondering what the real Homer Simpson looks like, that's him.
Oh, man.
Very unimpressive looking. He isn't yellow or anything. He isn't yellow or bald, really.
Oh, man.
All right,
let's get into our quirks.
Right into it. We'll go right into it.
Let's...
No breaks. No breaking. We're just gonna... All right. Roll your sleeves up, G.
Oh, man. I need to calm down for a second, and then we'll get into our quirks and likes.
Play the music.
right, now let's get into our cork section here. I got a lot of corks.
All right.
Let's see.
Lay them on me.
Let's try to get through this. My first cork is the dialogue is horrendous in this movie. And there's scenes like when Ben Grimm says, "Oh, they actually wear lab coats here." And I'm just like, why is that line even in there? It's completely pointless. It's not a funny line. It's nothing. It's just there. Like, they could have just cut that out entirely. And that happens way too often in this movie, where there's just stuff that they should just cut the hell out.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's one of the better parts of the movie.
That's terrible.
Oh.
It's just such a, like, there's dialogue like that that's that bad through the entire movie. And I hate the constant explaining of things. Like, when they have the dimensional rip,
yeah,
he has to explain what it's doing, and we're aware. If you see him opening the portal thing, and then we see it cutting back to Earth, we don't need to know. We don't need to know. Why is that in there?
Right. Well, it's in case you need to design your own stupid teleport thing to go to another dimension. Now you know how to do it. It's like, if you want to go back in time, all you need is a flux capacitor.
Nice. The thing is, we've already had something that's very similar to this when they're tearing the planet apart in Man of Steel. And not once did they have to actually say it. Like, while it was happening. We knew what was going on. And it's just like, I can't stand it.
What a much better movie that is.
Oh, it? Far better movie.
Oh. Okay, all right. So dialogue.
And, well, also because there's a lot of scenes missing, and there's a lot of scenes that just doesn't need to be there.
Well, so I have to jump all over this.
So, the first thing I want to say, though, is they have this father-son-daughter dynamic that they bring up, but there is no backstory into it. Like, why does Johnny Storm just hate his dad? You don't even know. It's just like, because he spends a lot of time working? Is that what it is? That's it? Like, I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then they bring it up again at the end of the movie, where Franklin Storm is like, well, he is your brother, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, there's nothing there that shows that they, like, grew up together and she even cares about him. Like, you just know that she's adopted, and that's it. And it's just, like, the weirdest freaking thing. Why did they have this in there? It just doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense at all. Oh, I can't stand it. Can't stand it at all. And the other scene, if you want to get involved with these characters, you obviously have a scene in there to show that Johnny Storm is reckless. Yet, when they go into the canyon, he's the one that's like, no, I'm not going here. I'm like, that's just out of character for the movie. It's completely out of character. Why wouldn't Ben Grimm stay there and be the anchor? But Johnny Storm's just like, no, I'm not going down there. Well, wait a minute. We've already established that you're the reckless one. Why would that even happen? This movie has so much crap. It's just so bad. Oh, man. So bad. Oh, did you said you had to add in something with these missing scenes?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the things that you're talking about is something which blew me away when the end credits popped up, and that is about a third of this movie is missing. Yeah. It isn't there.
No, it's not in there.
There's a point where, for me, the movie works, which is about the first third, and then they skip the middle and have an ending that makes no sense for what they've done.
Yeah, it makes zero sense at all.
If all the different stories out there about this movie are true, there is a point, looking at the editing of this film, where all of a sudden this movie jumps from Act 1 to the end of Act 3.
Yeah,
and there's a total tonal shift too. So
Yeah.
it's like a third of the movie is gone, and they don't like you're saying, they don't talk about that father-son relationship. They also don't pay it off. The guy just dies.
Yeah, that's it. And
Yeah.
then even the reaction is so underwhelming also.
Right. Yeah, their
And it's
dad just
I
died.
don't even know.
I mean,
I don't know what's going on with this movie. But that's another thing about this movie. It's even like it's edited very strangely. It's like scenes will go too long and then it'll cut to what seems like should be more scenes. Like
Right.
it seems like there's
Yeah.
just this movie is just unfinished.
yeah, I mean, there's stuff in the trailer that didn't make it into this movie, which
No,
seems
it's not in there at all.
yeah, which seems like it would have been maybe some other, it just all of a sudden Doom shows up, everyone's head explodes, and then the movie's over.
Yeah, that's it.
And they are missing like a third of this movie.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. I don't understand what happened. There's got to be you could probably do a documentary on the making of this movie. There had to have been some serious issues because there's so much that needs to be said and so much that doesn't need to be in there. I don't understand how that happened. It's like they had no plan at all. Like there was just zero pre-production. Let's just start filming. And so it was like, It's just such a strange thing about this movie. The other thing I had a problem with this movie is there is zero chemistry between these actors. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And I don't care about them at all. And even when they're saying their lines to each other, it looks like I'm just watching actors saying their lines. There aren't the characters. Even when the scene with Reed Richards and Sue Storm, the scene with those two, they're like flirting and everything, and that there's like nothing there either. Like it's just bad. It's like they took they took 3 shots of every single scene and just took the best of the 3 and then moved on.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Well, I have a feeling that no one was having any fun on set.
And it feels that way.
And this could have, I mean, this might all be because part of the reason why this movie got taken away from Josh Trank at some point. I don't think any of the actors look like they're having any fun. And some of them never have any lines together or to each other.
Which is the other thing that I'm saying about how there's zero chemistry there between them. And there's also just a lot of cuts with the actors just doing one-liners. It's almost as if the other actors weren't on the set in that scene.
Which is possible because of all the reshoots.
That's just, that's amazing. I cannot believe how much of a mess this movie is. And the thing that kind of ticks me off in general about it is it seems like if you would just have the rest of the movie in there, it probably would have been an okay movie. Well, but it's just missing so much stuff.
There's no version of this movie with this footage that works.
No.
Of the footage that they've shown, there is no way to recut this thing.
No, there isn't. You have to add a ton more scenes. And I don't get it. I have no idea how this happened with this movie. It's a freaking train wreck. And even in the visual effects are just kind of weird too.
Yeah, the visual effects are awful.
It's like they're terrible. They're all off. Everything's just off. You're just like, that doesn't look right, and you're just thinking about that the whole time.
I think maybe they didn't. It's possible if there were reshoots, and well, first of all, there were a lot of reshoots, which I'll get into, because there's an easy way to spot them. But if you don't give the visual effects guys enough time ultimately to get the movie done, you end up with these really spotty effects, and everything takes place on a soundstage, it seems like.
Yeah.
And yet, with the green screen or whatever behind them, the visual effects are terrible.
Yeah. It's definitely lacking. And I remember the scene that bothered me the most, and is actually the scene towards the end of the movie where Doctor Doom gets rid of Reed's suit that he's created, and he's just falls apart in all stretchy style. And I had to cover my mouth to prevent from laughing in the theater, so I wouldn't disturb people trying to enjoy this movie. So I'm just this is I'm actually laughing at what's going on, and it's supposed to be this serious scene. It's this movie has so many problems, and Doctor Doom just looked weird and acted weird too. It's everything. It's just such a weird movie. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. The other thing that bothers me is there's way too much fist walking, which I really hate that, where people are walking with their fists closed. Nobody walks like that. There's a ton of that in this movie. Johnny Storm does it, and the Thing does it constantly. He never just has his his hands clasped.
I could talk for an hour about everything that's wrong with the Thing. I mean,
you know what?
Wow.
All right. Okay. One last thing. The final fight is extremely unfulfilling, and it's just bad, and it just ends terribly. Yep. And you know what? I'm done with my quirks. I'm trying to give you a chance to talk.
All right. Well, okay. So I guess I'll talk about the reshoots, and because you alluded to it, there's a lot of weird little one-liners where it seems like people aren't talking to each other.
Yeah.
And they aren't. There are characters who don't say a freaking word to anyone. There were a couple of things that I thought were interesting about this, and then the movie goes completely off the rails.
Yeah.
But all these reshoots, I mean, Susan Storm's wig for the reshoots, from scene to scene, she goes from having normal, she's a dirty blonde, it's her normal hair, to this total electric yellow wig, and sometimes it's from shot to shot, and it's crazy. it's like they cared nothing about we have to get this done now.
It's just awful.
Talking about the Thing, this CG rock monster they put on there with no pants.
Yeah.
If all you're gonna do is mocap someone walking, and that's it, you aren't going to actually go in and do any keyframe animation, you have to have a stand-in who's a big dude, who can walk like a big guy, not like a skinny guy on stilts. That is not how a 1,000-pound rock monster is going to walk.
Yeah.
And it's just, not to mention the effect is terrible. And this was MPC's fault. And there's really only 3 studios out there, three houses that could do a character like this for any prolonged period of time. And that's ILM, Double Negative, or Weta.
Yeah.
Weta worked on the film, but they didn't do any of that stuff.
No.
They just picked up some smaller stuff at the end. In fact, they don't even have it on their site as far as projects. Which is funny. I think the only one that actually does have a big banner for it is MPC, because they did Moving Picture did a bunch of the visuals for it, but they're really bad. I mean, they're awful, and the Thing is terrible.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the one scene at the end. For me, it's when the planet is breaking up before they get their powers, where it just it looks like a movie from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The other Fantastic Four was actually much better than this. How does that happen?
I don't know.
The other thing is fresh air. Anyone? I mean, go outside and look at the sun. I mean, everything is indoors on a soundstage.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's jeez.
And, then they kind of start bringing in, like, stealing story details from the original, the 2005 Fantastic Four, where there's a little bit of a love triangle, and then the army's getting involved.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this? You guys already did this. You know this doesn't work.
Yeah, it's bad.
And then they just kill Doom. That's right. Dr. Doom. They just kill him instantly. He's on screen. He shows up. They're missing a third of the movie. He shows up and it's instantly over. He's exploding everyone's heads, which doesn't make any sense in Fantastic Four.
No.
And then he just, that's the end of him. What? What do you mean that's the end of him? Well, we'd like to see some other villain. Jamie Bell would like to see Galactus in the second one. Are you kidding me? They already did that. You gonna make him a cloud too? I think he should be a big cloud storm too. Like they could have the Silver Surfer in the second one, and it's like, wait a minute, what?
They really need to fix a lot of the problems with this first one in the second one before they start going on and doing a bunch of other stuff.
There's no way. They're
already slated for a release in 2017.
Will not
How
happen.
is that even possible?
It's not going to happen.
There's no way. There's no way that that's going to happen. This movie is so awful. And there's a lot of movies out there that's awful. It still makes money. But even this one hasn't really made any money.
No.
And so I don't... I don't know how they're going to be able to make a sequel with these characters. I really feel like this is going to get pushed back another 10 years.
And then who would go and see it?
Yeah, right? It's you to be afraid to freaking see the movie. You got any other Corks?
Do you have any likes? That's really the bigger question.
Well,
let's go ahead and get into your likes.
You want to go to the likes? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the likes here.
Yep.
I am pulling at freaking straws for likes at this movie. And one of the likes I have is they touch on the group dynamic at the end of the movie, but it's only there and nowhere else.
Oh, you're talking about the final 60 seconds of the movie?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. They're actually all in the shot together, at least.
They're in the shot together, and they actually are communicating with each other.
Jesus.
And it's kind of the way you expect them to communicate with each other, but it's only in that scene, and that's it. And so then it just makes it look awkward. It's just a weird scene. And the other thing is, the other like I have about this movie is probably about 2/3 of the way into the movie, I just started looking at it like it was a sci-fi TV movie.
Oh,
and I started enjoying it a lot more at that point.
Oh,
in
yeah.
time.
Well, okay, all right.
So I was like, oh, all right, this is how it's supposed to be. And that's just kind of how I went with it.
It's a $120 million TV movie for sci-fi.
Yes.
I get it now. I completely get it now.
Yeah, and it works really well when you start looking at it like that.
If that's the case, I wish there was a giant croc and an anaconda in it too. Just for no reason. Like they had other stuff going on at the Baxter building.
The other like I had is there's one scene where Sue Storm, where they try to take out Dr. Doom, and Sue Storm protects one of Johnny's fireballs in order to hit Doom because he's like blocking everything. And then she puts the force field thing around him to try to engulf him in flames. And I'm like, well, that's a group fighting there. And that's the only part that's even decent through that fight scene. Everything else is crap. It's all terrible. And the only time I'm thinking the whole time, I'm just like, The Incredibles is so much better. The Incredibles are so much better.
The Incredibles. The Incredibles.
The final fight in The Incredibles is so much better. This final fight in this movie is so bad. It's so bad. I don't even know what to say. It's there's nothing going on that's good in that movie.
It's a computer generated mess.
Yeah, and my last I have for this movie is that at least they didn't have a Galactus cloud in it.
Okay, well there's that.
Done.
Those are some backhanded likes, Mr. Brooks. Oh, wow. I mean, the thing is, the shame about this is, the movie still could have been very average, I think.
I think it could have been too. It's just missing everything it needs to make it just an average movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a glimpse of this, and a lot of people will talk about it's just too slow in the beginning, and it is.
Yeah.
But for me, I liked it up to a certain point, and that to me is where it became really clear that they had no idea. They were just trying to finish the movie.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff that they set up doesn't really get paid off.
No.
There was one scene I really liked, and I liked the idea that, they just went AWOL and decided to use the teleporter, and said, F it, NASA, we're just gonna.
Oh, that scene. Yeah, the scene where they're like, do you remember who built the thing that went to the moon or whatever?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was. That scene, I was like, wow, that's very unlike, you wouldn't see that in a superhero movie.
No, you wouldn't. And it's actually, that scene is like a really cool scene.
But nothing.
In the movie. So I agree. That is one of the better scenes in the movie, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing about this is fantastic or, this really isn't a superhero movie.
No.
I mean, it's like something else. It almost like falls in between genres, and
yeah, it's a mess.
Well, let's see other likes. Well, I'll tell you something positive that I think is going to come out of this is I think that Fox is going to release some of these properties that they have, and maybe Marvel can come in and take over.
Do this movie in 10 years.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
It just is so bad. I don't know how they get another reboot out of it. And they certainly aren't going to get a sequel out of it.
I don't know how they're going to do that. I would think after this, they probably need to go ahead and release it back to Marvel.
But I mean, if you look at the rights that the film rights that Fox has, and if Fox is really trying to get an X-Men TV show, I think maybe there could be a trade there. And it's already happening with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I think maybe something good down the road will come out of it. But Fox has so many really good characters that Marvel Studios can't touch.
Yeah.
And they should be in the conversation when you're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy and
they should
the Kree, and why isn't the Fantastic Four dealing with potentially the Kree or some of these other properties that one studio has and the other doesn't?
Yeah.
That's really weird to me. So, that's it. I mean, the movie as a whole is a mess, and somewhere out there, I think there's probably more footage.
Yeah, I would think so,
but,
too.
We'll never know, which is what Josh Trank said.
Yeah.
I do think he earned his way out of this movie, though. I think he definitely was screwing around enough to where this is not just on Fox, this is on him too.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because I really enjoyed Chronicle.
Yeah, Chronicle was good, so I don't know. We'll see if he gets another shot at a movie. It's going to be really hard for him, though, after this movie and how bad he treated the studio that hired him after the movie's
That gave
released.
him his big break. really.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's
Really,
It's
the best part of this movie is that we got to see the Deadpool trailer.
yeah, that was
You
good.
know?
I like that.
All right. So we're ending on a positive.
Well, not really, because we got to get into our ratings right now.
Oh, crap. All right. Let's do that.
Okay, so this movie is a failed reboot. The dialogue's bad, the chemistry is non-existent, and the visual effects are way off. And somehow they managed to make a worse movie than the previous two, which I don't know how that's possible, but they managed to do it. And it's just missing, like it seems like you were saying, a third of the movie. So I say skip it. Please skip it. They don't need any more money for this.
Yeah. I would say skip it as well. It's missing a good chunk of the story. There is no on-screen chemistry, like you were saying. The effects are terrible, and it doesn't even resemble the Fantastic Four.
No. The movie is just unfinished.
Skip it, burn it.
Yep, it's bad. All right, well.
Yeah, that's good.
If anybody wants to contact us, we always have our website, halfpasspodcast.com.
Like us on Facebook.
Rate us on iTunes.
We're on Stitcher and Libsyn.
And you can always email us at halfpastcast@gmail.com. That's halfpastcast@gmail.com. That way we can get some ideas from you guys and help improve the show.
Tweet us at halfpastpodcast.
And thank you all for listening, and thank you for your support. Next week we have The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Ah, yes.
So we'll be able to watch another spy movie.
From U.N.C.L.E.
There's no way it could be as bad as the one we just watched with this Fantastic Four movie.
I think I would rather watch Pixels again than have seen this, and Pixels was terrible. Pixels just made me want to...
I actually left Pixels happier than Fantastic Four.
And that had Josh Gad in it.
An Adam Sandler movie.
An Adam Sandler movie.
Josh Gad in it.
Featuring a lot of Josh Gad. I left
the movie happier than Fantastic Four. I cannot believe, if you listen to the podcast where we talked about Fantastic Four, the trailer, we were way more bright-eyed in that, and it's just awful. It's terrible. It is so bad. This movie, oh man, I don't even know what to say. It's one of the worst movies I have ever seen, and I've seen Ultraviolet.
Yeah, Ultraviolet is.
It's so bad.
This is up there. This is definitely in the running. This is up there with the Battlefield Earth and Batman and Robin. And
it's up there with them. It's so bad. Oh man! All right, let's just end this podcast.
All right.
This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks.
Jonesy.
See you next flick.